Hey, hello everybody. This is Ray from Raysunited, and I'm back. And as you know, today I do have the workforce pool executive, some of the executives here or the team, and they're gonna obviously answer your questions. But I'll also ask them a few questions, and I believe they would gladly answer them. We're all doing it for Pi Network, so whatever questions you've got, whether it's during the show or after, if you're asking it during the replay, listen, go ahead and ask because everything we do is for the Pi ecosystem or the Pi network community and nobody else. So let's do this. Let's get them. Let's give them a warm welcome, of course, and ask them reasonable questions. Questions within context. So it has to be based on Pi utility in relation to workforce pool, Pi Hackathon in relation to workforce pool, migration and open mainnet in relation to workforce pool, and how it could affect them down the line, whether it's positive or negative. So smash the like button, smash the subscriber button, and when I come back, it's on.
Oh my God, Ray's made another one. Woo!
Yes. Hello, everybody. This is Ray from Raysunited. So one of the workforce pool team will be joining very soon. You can see workforce pool is here, definitely. And we are going to make sure this show is flowing as smoothly as possible because, it's a show that I've always had it in the making. So, one of the team will be joining very soon. I think he's joined, but his network is not great. So when he joins, all of you are going to be able to see him as well. Please introduce yourself, Mr. Workforce Pool, because I know your name, but introduce yourself, please. Unmute yourself. Yep, you can start speaking. I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Well, my name is Lawi. I'm from Workforce Pool, part of the co-founder and also part of the marketing team.
All right. So workforce pool together. All right. So I made a mistake with the wording. It's supposed to be workforce pool together as one word, and I obviously made a typing mistake by separating the workforce with the pool. So guys, it's one word, workforce pool. All right. Lawi spoken. Now, Mr. Abiodun Adewale of Workforce Pool, one of the co-founders. Please go ahead and introduce yourself as well.
Okay, thank you, Ray. My name is Abiodun, and like I said earlier, I think yesterday, I'm in charge of operation, also the co-founder of Workforce Pool.
Right. Okay. So he doesn't have to say too much. If you attended the Twitter space we held yesterday, you would know that both of them were there and they were very expressive. But it's a new show. It's a new interview. So, I'll be asking them questions, and I believe either or both of them will be able to give us some answers. So please, if you're here, keep your questions coming because I'll be coming to you very soon as well. Ask them questions based on Pi Network in relation to workforce pool. You need to remember that. So, without further ado, let me go to either of you. Whoever will go first, that's cool. But I'll probably start with Abiodun, and then Lawi will follow. So, Abiodun, yesterday we spoke about a few things, but today I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
What made you get into this whole Pi utility initiative? Because obviously your utility is sort of big to me anyway. And so, what made you get into it?
Okay, I joined Pi Network. I think I heard about Pi Network in 2021. I think around March when I was kind of inquisitive about the cryptocurrency industry. I've not had any experience regarding any cryptocurrency or blockchain. I don't have this weird belief of crypto being a bad something. So I just see this Pi invitation link on one of my WhatsApp member status. I just click on it and I go through the website, read the what's it called? Read the all the information on the website. Then I sign up. Then after some couple of days, I was kind of inquisitive about what are we mining? What is Pi network? So I dig into the application. I see the white paper, read the white paper. I fall in love with the concept, the goal of the Pi core team. Then I think around that time, I think about 2 or 3 months, 2 months later, the Pi brainstorm app was launched. The Pi browser rather was launched, and the Pi brainstorm app. Then the Pi core team announced that they were holding the first hackathon on on the on the Pi brainstorm app. So I'm kind of being inquisitive and engaged what further. I created some of my one or two Pi brainstorm application project rather proposal, which we really made it up to the review stage. So as I was proposing my own, I have before one of the proposal that I made then was to build a freelance marketplace, the work marketplace, which I called then I think Workchain. So I kind of have the idea to build this freelance freelance marketplace that people can easily get work and get matched with work easily. So that is, but that proposal don't made it up to the review stage. Then I kept surfing the all the five brainstorm proposal. Then I came in contact with workforce pool, Pi workforce pool, which is a proposal. I read it. It was one of the most detailed out proposal. I love it, and I joined. And that is how I got in contact with the project creator, then Larry. So that is where I get in contact with him, and we got into communication. We started communicating, and that is where how I got into Pi workforce pool, which is now rebranded as workforce pool.
Absolutely. This is really good. I mean, knowing that all of you obviously didn't know each other, and then you all came together and formed this huge sort of what's the name? A utility platform, which we all are really
Yeah.
touting for. We're rooting for it, and I'm definitely rooting for Workforce Pool to become, one of the most used freelance utilities out there. Um, Lawi, do you have any contribution to add to what your colleague said?
Yeah, well, personally, I'm a freelancer. I also have an account on Fiverr and other freelance websites. So it was back in 2019. Someone sent me a link, got into the link. Back then, we used to get paid. Some of the platforms used to pay in Bitcoin. So I knew a little bit about crypto through Bitcoin itself, but it was too late for me. I couldn't mine. Then all of a sudden, someone sends a link on Pi Network. I check out what is Pi Network. I see the first coin. Back then, we never had anything like that, where you could mine crypto using your phone. That's how I joined. Then later, since I was a freelancer, when the brainstorm, we had this sort of brainstorm. Then apps applying to join the first hackathon. I proposed a project, but it was based on writing itself, sort of micro tutoring itself. But due to lack of developers, fortunately, Abiodun had joined my team as a business developer or something. But I lacked the resources to get a good developer whom we could collaborate with. And that's when he introduced me to Workforce Pool and asked him if I could join and close up my application, and I could join the. That's how I ended up joining the the group workforce pool.
So I'm really, really happy to have you, like I said, Larry and Abiodun. And listen, personally, I love most of the first batch of utility platforms that were established. You know, PyChain More, obviously you, Pi2Go, and all the other ones that were established in the early days. However, obviously some have been established in the past few months, and to be honest, they're all very good. But what's your take on the utility platforms that had been established during your time as well? Is there any competitiveness? Is there any camaraderie? You know, you tell us here. Whoever wants to go first. Okay, I'll let Abiodun. Yeah, Abiodun go first.
Okay, concerning the Pi apps that have emerged from the Pi Hackathon, be it 2021, the one held in 2022, and the one held this year so far. What I can say is that Hackathon, just like City has been saying, Hackathon is just to showcase app, to promote app, to reward app that have good utility. So it is to reward app that have good utility, but it doesn't end there. Individual team has need to go back because hackathon only give rise to prototype, a prototype of the application. They need to move further, improve their app further, build it further, just like we did. If you can, if you are familiar with our app, the app that we used to win the hackathon in 2021, September 2021, it has quite improved to what we have now. So we as a team, we as a team in Workforce, we believe in improving our application, and we've invested lots of resources and money on this application to bring it to this stage, and we are still continuing in improving it so that we all our users will have quality experience and quality interface, which the PyCo team are kind of aiming for. So the aim of PyCo team is for this app, this Pi app, be it those that have graduated, that have won the hackathon in the past, and those that will still win the hackathon in future, is for them to continue developing their apps to a standard that can meet the outside competitor. So, but the kind of app that I must say that the kind of Pi apps that we have now needs a lot of improvement before they can get before we have to get to mainnet.
All right, listen, I understand everything you said. Down the line, we'll talk about open mainnet and migration and that. But based on this particular subject, which is the Pi utilities and everything, if I am to divert the question to Larry, what is your take on, say, the new ones, particularly that have come out? Because me personally, I'm so used to, you know, the previous ones like yours and all the others that came out in 2021. I'm yet to get used to the new ones. So you tell me, are you privy or are you familiar with the new utility platforms which have come out through the hackathons in recent times? Can you tell me, are you familiar with them, and what do you think they can do in order to, you know, improve if they haven't yet done so? Lawi.
Network announced the winners of the latest hackathon winners, that is Tantan. They're also familiar with other projects like Pi Pilot, which is led by Woody Lighter. We also got Connect Socio by Meldin. Yeah, we are also in touch with some of the teams. Some of them reach out to us and ask maybe about the journey of what they can do, and some things, how they can solve certain problems, because we got a lot of problems along the way. And that's the comradeship that we have held with other teams that come in, and if they reach out to us, we give a helping hand. That's it. We've also collaborated with others before.
Oh, okay. Right. So, obviously, you've collaborated with others and so on and so. Again, let me ask. With the hackathons that have been happening each month,
Yeah.
have you thought of, say, obviously, I know you're running a workforce pool, but have you thought of, say, establishing something else, separately from workforce pool, or is it just workforce pool and that's it?
Well, it has taken quite a lot of time for us to migrate to Mainnet itself,
Hmm.
because we launched it just a month ago. It has taken over 3 years to develop that stuff. So, us saying that we want to develop another thing while we just develop something, it makes it difficult for us to focus on
Yeah.
what our mission is. Yeah, but of course we are usually open to ideas. Maybe another team can come through and say, maybe we have this project, it can go good with this, with your project, and something we work something around. And that's how it goes. Collaboration is better than working alone.
Mm. How many people have you got in your team, if you don't mind me asking, and what are the roles that they play in order to get all this combination of this project?
Well, so far we are a team of 6. It's
Mhm.
on the website itself. We posted our pictures there. We've also handed a lending hand to other projects, but we can't disclose them at the moment. Yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Abiodun, have you got anything to add to it? Obviously, because Lau is the one that's speaking, so maybe you might also want to add something to. I don't want you to feel like you're being left out.
What I can say is that our team, just like Lawi have said, we are a team of 6, and it is on our website, the roles and each of the team members play. So it is on our website. Anybody can easily access it. So that's
Right. Interesting. Listen, I personally, I've obviously checked your website. I've seen the things that you do. You have a social media presence, which makes it stand out. So yeah, listen, I'm glad we're doing this. The third thing I want to talk about is to do with your, obviously this is the workforce pool segment. So let's get to the Pi network segment in relation to workforce pool, or even Pi network as a standalone. Um, Being pioneers, which we all are, recently I've realized that some people have had their their migrations have come to an end, which means that they won't be able to get their lockups off and running again. I mean, until the way it's looking, until we get to open mainnet. What is your what has been your experience with that? Do you know people who have had their migrations come to an end and not being able to do it, and how's it affecting their mining rate and everything? Could you tell us, either of you or both of you? Uh, Abiodun.
okay. Concerning migration rights,
Yes, concerning migration.
I don't have much information on that, but what I know is that there are some people, perhaps there are some people that have their migration duration ended. So I don't have any information on whether they are able to mine with that mm, lockup duration or something like that. It is only Pico team that have, I think, exclusive answer to that.
Right. Well, I do have it because I have a friend at work who I remember advising him to lock up for 3 years, and he didn't listen. Yeah, he locked up for 1 year, and so because of that, his lockup came to an end recently. And then he was asking me, he was telling me he couldn't lock up because there isn't any facility for him. There is a facility, but the core team, the core team system or Pi network system isn't allowing him to lock up whatever he wants to lock up for any duration. And I told him, well, if he had locked up for 3 years, perhaps that would have helped him because obviously I locked up for 3 years, so my lockup is still ongoing. I'm able to get the higher mining rate as a result of having a much higher lockup rate as well. Yeah, Lawi, have you got anything to add to it?
Well, not much because we really don't know what's happening in the Pi network itself. But in terms of the lockups and increasing the mining rate, maybe they could jump onto the brainstorm, maybe test a few apps that you feel they might help in your lifestyle and you feel maybe you can contribute into them. That increases your mining rate.
Right. Okay. Now let's delve into obviously the utility part. Obviously, we've spoken about in the beginning. Now we're going generally. I'll ask both of you, but one of you can go straight ahead. When it comes to people interacting with the Pi browser app or the Pi browser tool, I know it gives a lot of rewards if you spend time doing all of that. What advice have you got for pioneers who don't actually familiarize themselves with the utilities? Because personally, I feel like if they don't familiarize themselves, like yesterday, I think Abiodun or I think it was you that was saying that pioneers have to spend a few more Pi here and there. That's how the ecosystem gets stronger. Because obviously we are in the mainnet, albeit enclosed network, not the open network. So what advice have you got for pioneers in relation to that? Let's start with Abiodun, please.
Okay, what I will advise pioneers is that, just like I said yesterday, the Pi browser is the powerhouse of the Pi network because it houses every infrastructure and all the technological progress that can get us to open mainnet. So the advice I will get to pioneers is that they should try as much as they can to engage with the Pi browser. And very soon, just like the latest information we get from the Pi code team, is that very soon the Pi browser will start listing mainnet application. And I believe that once this mainnet application is live, just like the roles that Nicholas mentioned that can get us closer to achieving our close mainnet goal, is for pioneers to try and engage with these Pi apps, access them, be it on testnet or mainnet, use them, give the developer feedback so that they can improve their app further. It is with this user engagement that we can achieve our enclosed mainnet goals. So I will urge all pioneers to try as much as they can to always engage with the Pi browser, the tools and application available on the Pi browser so that we can easily get to achieve our goal.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect. Lawi, have you got anything to add?
Yeah. Um, you have to look in what reason made you download the app, then start mining. If you thought this will help maybe make your life a bit easier because it will solve a few problems, then you're good. If you looked at it in a manner that you will just wait for the open mainnet, then exchange it for fiat, then get out of it, then it's a bit trouble for you. Well, let's go with the former. If you joined the app because you thought this is some type of currency that could help maybe make my life easier, then it will be advisable if you went to the brainstorm app and looked at what apps maybe they coincide with your interest. let's say you want to shop with your Pi, let's say you want to travel with your Pi, let's say you want to trade your services for Pi, then there you can choose an app that suits your needs. That's how to go about it in terms of using the utility apps themselves.
Right. Yeah, yeah, interesting stuff. That takes me straight to obviously open mainnets. Now, a lot of pioneers, again, you're all maybe aware of it. A lot of pioneers are still thinking that the core team are supposed to open the floodgates and let us get to open mainnet, so we'll know the price of Pi and we can transact, business on the Pi ecosystem and all of that. Me personally, I have my take on it. I don't think open mainnet should happen anytime soon because obviously I feel like we should build the ecosystem. But I would not talk about it. It's up to you. You're here. Let's start with Lawi. What's your take on that? I know everyone has an opinion, but what's your opinion on that?
Well, my personal opinion, um, we need to be a little bit patient. As I mentioned before, Workforce Pool went on mainnet a month ago. We also got a few apps which are in line, but they haven't migrated to mainnet yet. They are still in development phase, including Tantan. So meaning you can't trade your Pi there yet. So we should give a little bit more time so that the apps themselves are developed and people can engage with them. So that when it's open mainnet, you do not have to sell your Pi for fiat. You can trade them in the existing ecosystem. Now, since it's taking time for the ecosystem apps to develop, then we need a little bit more time for it to be mature. That's my take on it.
Abiodun, what's your take?
Okay, we are still quite very early in the enclosed network. I think the enclosed networks was launched December 2021, and by this ending of this year, we will be 2 years into the enclosed network. So the as for me, my belief is that the enclosed network shouldn't be long, because if the enclosed mainnet is too long, the ecosystem growth we struggle, the ecosystem will struggle to develop. So what I want to see is that we need we need to be as fast as possible, months, perhaps a year at most, so that all these buyers, we need to rally around them, ensure that they develop to standard that can meet outside competition. Because I won't deceive us, what is keeping the Pi ecosystem apps from improving is that most of these apps cannot compete with their counterparts outside if there is this enclosement, if without this enclosement. And this is why the FICO team created this enclosed space so that Pi apps can get to develop further. So I would urge Pi apps developer, it is now to our turn now to develop our apps further, improve the quality, the user experience, and perfect every other thing that needs to be, so that we can have a glimpse of have a glance of when the open mainnet will come. So it is very important as part of the enclosed mainnet goal to have quality, not just Pi app, quality Pi app, and we don't need 100. We just need a handful of them that can take us to the open mainnet. That's my take.
All right. So what about obviously I get a lot of people DMing me about things. What about the ones that are vendors? They're vendors on say these utility apps, for instance, and these vendors are using fiat to buy their products, and of course they need um, to re-up, and to re-up they'll still need fiat. So if somebody is buying their products with Pi and they want to re-up, they have to re-up with fiat. What do you say to those groups of pioneers who are in these sort of petty trading?
Okay, two advice. One, I would advise vendors to put all their goods we have right now on Pi market to sell. So what I will advise is that they should put only goods that they can afford to lose, just like the rule of crypto, only invest what you can afford to lose. So I will advise them to only invest, put up goods for sale for Pi
Yeah.
they are they can afford to lose. So with that, they will still have goods that they can still use in catering for their day-to-day activity. And the second one, reason why I said that the enclosed mainnet shouldn't take too long, because if the enclosed mainnet take too long, the growth of the Pi ecosystem will be stunted. That's my take.
Lawi, what do you say? Lawi, can you unmute yourself? Yeah. Yeah, what do you say, Lawi, about what we just discussed?
Um, I think it's a yeah. Okay, I I think it's a bit tricky in terms of selling goods because, of course, you have to buy the goods themselves in fiat.
Yeah.
But still, as Abiodun said, there could be an amount of pie maybe you are willing to spend because you also got other guys who are willing to spend their pie to buy your stuff. That's a bit tricky though. But in terms of services, we've seen an interesting space because all services need is your time. And
Yeah.
if you check recently, we've got jobs for translators. We've had guys who've been translating the jobs. Maybe they got free time,
Mhm.
yeah, and they are willing to spend the time to maybe do some services like translation. That's simple service over there, and they contribute to the ecosystem. So you just have to look into what you can do for Pi that is not going into that's not entering into your pocket, so that you are not using your fiat to contribute. And of course, there are very many options.
I think you're right. And that even occurred to me a few months ago. That I mean, why not use your service ability instead of say buying products? There's products and services. So for now, if you have to, sell your products, it has to be maybe a product that you can afford to lose, just like Abiodun said. And if it's service is all about time, and time is currency. So you use your time to do something that you're good at, and the person pays you in fiat. These are the things I believe in the ecosystem could be done. As at the time, we are, because if we want to say, oh, because of the fact that we will be buying products and selling them for Pi, as a result, we should get into open mainnet. That's sort of stranglehold in the core team to say, yes, you need to get us to open mainnet. If not, we're losing stuff. Listen, it's a matter of choice. If you make a choice that you want to sell your products, then you, you have to be able to afford to lose them. And just for you're not losing them, but we're saying lose your fiat in order to receive Pi. So it makes perfect sense. It makes perfect sense.
Okay, just to add,
Oh, okay, yeah.
sorry, just
No,
to add to what you said, the PICO team themselves know that not all, not every utility, not all kind of utility can prosper and survive in the Pi ecosystem. And one of the utilities that can survive this enclosed minutes are the utilities that rely mostly on external interference, that rely mostly on cash, fiat, other crypto exchanges. For example, exchanges, DeFi, and what have you. All utility that rely mostly deeply on external activity before they can function well, they won't be fit in building in enclosed mainnet. So this kind of utility have to wait for open mainnet before they can start building. But for utilities that can survive in this enclosed mainnet, just like the one you mentioned, utilities that are service-based, they are perfect fit. They can survive well because people can only are only spending their time. They are not investing any fiat. Do me, I'm a graphic designer. I can do logo for you. I do the logo in 5 minutes. I get my pie. So this kind of application can prosper well in this enclosed mainnet. And this is why we are admonishing the pioneers to look into inward and kind of engage with this kind of Pi apps. And also for any currency to survive, for Pi to have its value, people must be willing to accept Pi for their services. It is very important. If people are not willing to accept Pi for their services, then the Pi value is comes to question. The value of Pi comes to question.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Me personally, listen, I'm there to deliver service to anyone. If anyone says, "Oh, Ray, could you make a video for me?" So with regards to this and that, you want to pay in Pi, I'll charge you in Pi, of course. And if you pay, then maybe I'll make the video for you. And I don't. That doesn't mean I do make that video. I don't. But it's just an example. And I wouldn't say pay in fiat. I would say pay in Pi. Maybe I'll advertise it somewhere. It could be, like you said, freelance, so I could advertise it on yours or anywhere else, and we'll see how it goes. But listen, it makes perfect sense that the core team waits a bit. Me, I've always been one that's on for communication, and that's it. I've always said they should communicate with us better. Some people have said, "Oh, they are communicating," and I said, "Okay, they are." But personally, obviously, that's my own opinion, and I believe everybody respects each other's opinion. Mine has always been about just communicate the roadmap properly. Some people may say the roadmap is there, we shouldn't, question it, blah blah blah. But there's been times, so maybe they should update it or something. That's just my opinion. Anyway, so before we end the show, I would like to ask you about when you think will be appropriate or right for open mainnet to happen. And this is your own opinion. Remember that it's got nothing to do with anybody. Let's start with Lawi. When do you think open mainnet would be much more convenient for everybody? When do you think? Lawi.
Uh, quite a difficult question. Never give it a thought though, but I thought maybe when we started the lockup thing, the maximum time was 3 years. So I just give it that. Yeah, 3 years
Okay.
since the start of the lockup thing.
So we give it till
That's my guess. No,
we give it till 2025, something like that. 2025 summer.
20,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, 2025 summer, something like that. Because we started the lockup June, end of June, early July, 2022. So 3 years from then, the first lockup from then
yeah,
will be
yeah.
2025. So that will probably be the earliest if we look at it. But listen, Abiodun, what do you think?
Okay, personally, it's my personal decision, and based on what I have observed around the Pi network itself, number one, I would like to make reference to some key, some of the goals, the two goals that are need to be met. Number one, we Nicolas said we will open mainnet on one condition that the majority or handful of Pi pioneers have completed their KYC, the engaged pioneers. So we have 47 million engaged pioneers, which I want to believe that not all of them are active because some of them might have fall down, shun out along the way because they can't wait, they cannot see the whatever the complaints they have, they stop mining and all of that. And currently we have the last stat City gave us, we have 5.6 million KYC pioneers. So I'm kind of anticipating or assuming or looking forward to that. Once we are able to have a KYC pioneers of up to 10 million and above, then the PICO team should be thinking of opening the network by 10 million KYC upward, which I believe should be achievable between now and next year. Then on the second ground, on the utility creation, we just need what we need currently is validation and people using these Pi apps like Workforce Tools. If we can have the mainnet ecosystem listing that the FICO team is preparing, which they will release perhaps later in this quarter, and these five apps can be rally around, do promotion, validate their product within now and next year. I believe that we should be able to be talking about open mainnet. The city should be able to start talking about open mainnet as from 2024, because what they told us is that all the necessary infrastructure to allow us to hit the two enclosed mainnet rather, enclosed mainnet goals have been pieced together. So we need to, I'm quoting from the Pi Day broadcast from Nicholas. It said that all the uh, all the pieces have been pieced together, that all the infrastructure rather has been pieced together, that it's needed to get us to open mainnet has been pieced together. So it's now us for us to rally around against the open mainnet. So with all the Pi community, individual role, the Pi core team, the community developers, and the Pi pioneers coming together, I believe that the open mainnet will come sooner. And I believe 1 year, 2024, on that way, we should be talking about open mainnet. That's my take.
Now that's great. I think you're singing my song, Abiodun, because if you look on the screen right now, you can see I said 327 days at least until Pi Network's open mainnet. So if you look at the bottom of your screen, it's just going there, and that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it by or from Pi 2 Day 2024. That's when I'm expecting it. Anytime before that, I don't think it will happen because right now, as we speak, it is building the ecosystem, and right now, as we speak, Workforce Pool is in the open mainnet or on the open main, sorry, sorry, not open mainnet. It's on the mainnet right now. So some of it, obviously, they do have other tools which need to also be updated onto the mainnet. But yeah, they're developing definitely, and that's why we're here. Workforce Pool, we're here because of them. Um, they are asking questions. A few people. I think I would want us to answer those questions since we're here. Revelation Toloma here is asking, or he's just saying, it's a statement. He says there is much to risk in order to make Pi a global currency. There is a need for us all to sacrifice something in order to have that common goal, peace. And yeah, it's a great opinion, to be honest. Glenn gave some memberships. I think 10 people have got memberships on YouTube at the moment. Bean, Mike, Linda, Joseph, Banks, the bully. I hope you're not a bully. Ojo, Ezekiel, Emmanuel, John, and Solomon, and Watch Me. So congratulations to all of you. And I think somebody else has asked a question. It says, when are they also planning to start paying validators? Personally, I think it's going to be during Open Mainnet, but I don't know what both of you have got to say. Lawi, what have you got to say with regards to this question? When are they planning to start paying validators? Do you know anything about it, or do you have any suggestions?
Well, no. I think that can be best answered by the core team itself.
Yeah, definitely by the core team. I can only suggest or look at it as maybe earliest by Open Mainnet, because the way it's looking, paying validators at the moment is not the priority. So I don't think that is something that they're looking at. They will look into it, but not now. Somebody's asking, the same person. No, we can't predict any price. Personally, I can't predict any price, so I will not predict it. Which is Robert Anecho. I can't predict the price of Pi. Keep your questions coming. In the next few minutes, we'll be gone, but keep your questions coming. Now, personally, I would also ask you one question, both of you, of course, starting with Lawi. Lawi, obviously being a pioneer and being a developer, in your case, obviously one of the developers or the part of the team of Workforce Pool, what are the challenges that you faced so far, if you can tell us, please? Lawi.
Development itself. Development
Lawi.
itself. Hello,
Development
hello.
is.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Yeah, yeah. Development is one aspect by itself.
Mm.
Yeah, we've been having real trouble actually. That's why it took too long. We're also looking for developers. We can't find them yet, even though we are we are committed to paying them in fiat value so that they can help us.
Yeah.
Because as a Pi utility app, we need to up our game so that the core team does not have any other excuse to say that we do not have any utility apps or so. So that's our main challenge. Yeah, and if we got any developer out there, they can reach out to us and we can see how we can onboard them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you still looking for translators? Because a friend of mine can translate in German for you. He's been asking if you can help. You can, take him on board for your German translation. If you're still looking for a German translator,
Yeah, the German option is still on. They can
it's still on.
apply on the app's profile. You can search on the search button of the app at Workforce Pool. You are going to see the listings and you can apply for the German option.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I'll tell him. I'll tell him. Yeah, he can even use me as a reference to say that Ray from Rays United recommended him to you. He's a German anyway, so he will be able
Yeah,
to help you with the German translation. He's a
all right.
German native as well. Yeah, yes, and he's willing to do
Thank you.
that. So when he applies, if you want to know his name, just DM me and I'll give you his name. So when he applies, you will see it and take it up from there. Abiodun, have you got anything to add to what we said with regards to the challenges that you lot have faced during this
Okay,
period?
okay. I think Unlawi has mentioned the major challenge that we are facing currently, which is in terms of getting developers in Pi to help us build our app further. Because just like I've been iterating that it is very important for during this enclosed mainnet for Pi apps to be well, I think to some extent, if not product market fit, to develop to some extent that they will be able to withstand the outside external competition when the Pi goes open mainnet, because going open mainnet without all these Pi apps being well developed to taste with better user experience, it will be a disaster for the whole of Pi ecosystem, because Fiverr Fiverr and all other e-commerce platforms that they can easily integrate Pi and start offering goods. And these Pi apps that have been there since all this while we get go down the drain. So it is very important in terms of development for Pi apps to be well developed. So development, number one, is one of the challenges that we are facing. And number two, the case of the restriction from this enclosed mainnet per se is kind of restricting us to some extent in which we can go. For instance, without with this restriction, we can't sell the revenue that perhaps that we make from users using our app. We can't exchange it for real fiat. This is also a challenge that we need to overcome, which we believe that Open Mainnet will solve. But we are kind of be dedicated to continue building to our the best of our knowledge. And if we can see Pi developers that are willing to accept Pi to give us development service, we will go for it. That is two of the most challenges that we face in terms of development and converting the revenue that we make to something that can attract outside developers to help us in development process.
Yeah, it's really good. So listen, people, you should understand. And if you've got any questions, please ask the questions. It's very important. Let it be within reason, of course, and within context. Um, I don't think Workforce Pool is the only one, but at the moment, Workforce Pool is the one that's here. So I can only talk for them, speak for them, and I can tell you that the work they do behind the scenes are second to none. And if you use them as the example, then you're gonna know that um, the Pi Core team have work on their hands because they're dealing with 47 million plus people, and Workforce Pool are dealing with probably hundreds of thousands of people, not directly but indirectly. So the one thing you need to know is they are doing a lot. So compare that, the six in their team, compare that to about 30 in the core team, or 30, 40 in the core team, dealing with millions, tens of millions of people. So it's a lot of work for the core team, just as much as a lot of work for Workforce Pool. So the one thing I'll tell you all is be patient with the core team, of course, but not patience as in just relaxing. You still need to, light a fire under their backside so they will not sit on the laurels. Do you know what I mean? But constructively and in a good way. Finally, guys, I'll start with Lawi. What have you got to say to the people who will be watching this, who are watching this now, and will be watching it in future? Finally, Lawi, what have
Well,
you got to say? Go ahead,
yeah.
please.
Still, I remain to my final appeal. If you have KYC'd your own mainnet, kindly you have to give in order to receive. You are given the Pi. It will be good if you give some back to the Pi utility apps in order to promote the open mainnet launch,
Yep.
rather than just expecting to keep your own Pi and lament on the Pi network itself. Number two, on the KYC process, it will be good if you are patient as the core team solves the issue. I will give an example. It's a situation that happened in my country a few years ago. If you've heard about WorldCoin, WorldCoin is another coin where they had selected a few countries, which mine, I'm from Kenya. They had chosen one, and for people to KYC and use the WorldCoin, they had to go to certain centers and KYC before they are allowed to trade the WorldCoin. But what happened? We had a huge, we had a huge crowds and queues on the station that they had mentioned that you will find the KYC. Unfortunately, they were scanning the eyes. So there are many queues, and the government wondered why are people queuing for just to have their eyes scanned and exchange their data for WorldCoin. Unfortunately, the WorldCoin team had not gone through the legal processes that are needed for you to store the data. They also did not have a clear outline on how they will use the data collected, and that's how the government suspended the process. We wouldn't want the same to happen for Pi network itself in certain countries where you could hear certain countries have been sanctioned. So it will be good if we are also patient with the KYC process itself. And if you are a validator, please contribute by validating more pioneers so that we can get there.
Right. The validation part. Let me see what somebody said before I bring Abiodun in. Somebody said, I love validating others, and I was. Lawi, can you mute yourself with the dog? The dog over there is
Okay.
not.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, thank you. I love validating others, and I was forced to stop because, however much I tried doing validations, I see no slots coming in. Very many others are also experiencing the same. My question is there limit? I don't know if there are limits, but some people have a lot of validations as well. I think it's regional. The way I've looked at it, a lot of people have told me I get to communicate with a lot of people, and I think it's regional. So certain regions may not be, prioritized because maybe so many people have already been KYC'd or they've gone past their region, and it's like a sort of a cyclical thing. You get what I'm saying? So maybe that is the reason. I don't know why. That's just my own wild take. Guys, have you got any say on that one? Why validations are a bit of a stretch at the moment? Have you got any say on that?
Well, what I can add, you said the fact there. What I can add is that the last statistic I think the whole team gave about validator us is that there are about 100,000 plus validators. And this speaks a lot. There are lots of validators doing validation work. And the point is the validators work, you can only validate, I think, the ID and the ID of people that are in your country, in your region. So you can't
Yes,
validate other people IDs that doesn't belong to your country.
yeah,
So what I can say is that since there are large crowd force of these validators, there is very possibility for some pioneers to get more than others based on their region. For instance, regions that there are very many, they have larger population of Pi community, those regions they can tend to have a lot of validation, ID validation, while regions that have low population of application, they get fewer and may not get
absolutely.
at all. So it is quite understandable.
Yeah. So obviously, what that could mean is if you're living in a place like United States, Nigeria, China, they're larger populated places or highly populated places. If you're living there, you might as well become a validator, so the validations will go much quicker. Because if you're not a validator and you only have few validators, it becomes a bit of a stretch. So maybe it's best. And if you live in, say, a smaller island, it's much easier. You just get a few people to validate, and then it's cool. But one thing I also found out was, even if you're living in, say, India or Pakistan or wherever, you could still validate somebody from another country, but the only thing you're validating is their likeness, which is the picture, or their liveness check, and that's what you'll be validating, because those ones you're only comparing pictures or confirming that they are who they say they are, or something like that, or they are doing the things they're asked to do. So that you can do it from any country. But I believe if you're from another country, you can't validate another country's passport. Earlier days, I was able to validate people from France, and I think I did one from Nigeria, which was difficult because I don't know how Nigeria's passport looks like on the inside. But they would ask you, "Is this a Nigerian passport?" And then you're like, "Okay, what do I say?" But obviously, you look at some details and you will know if it's a Nigerian passport. Um, Okay, let me see if there is one more thing and then we will leave. This person is saying people are exchanging goods and services. What if after launching Mainnet it goes undervalued? People who believe will be under huge loss. Um, what do you have to say, Abiodun, reading this comments? Because this is definitely directly in relation to utilities. So, what have you
So,
got to say?
so I've said it, like I said earlier, I don't expect pioneers to put all their goods up for sale. That is why I give out the advice that only put up goods that you can afford to lose. So whatever the outcome of open main and the price of goods the price of price rather at open mainnet, you won't be deeply at loss. So it is wise of pioneers to only invest, to only put up their goods for sale that they can afford to lose. It is very important so that when open mainnet come and the price of Pi is reviewed, they don't get to feel any loss. So that's what I can say on that.
Right. So again, like Abiodun said, don't buy goods that you can't afford, or goods that you may be able to afford but could affect you in future. Make sure you can afford to quote unquote lose it. And when we say lose it, not lose it, but you know it's temporary. It's temporal because you will be able to gain it back during the open mainnet. Again, we've spoken about a lot of things. So if you haven't actually listened to it from the beginning, just go back, replay it. We've spoken about so many different things. And you can also go and listen to the Twitter space we did yesterday. Really, really good with Abiodun, and later on Lawi joined. So Abiodun, I think you haven't given us your final remark. What are your final remarks to the pioneers or viewers that are watching today?
Okay, thank you. On the final note, what I could say to pioneers is that Pi Network is a one of a kind and unique project that require a lot of time, planning, and resources. So we should give it time to mature, and we should perform our role, make our contribution as we are capable of, so that we can get closer to what we achieve, to achieve the enclosed mainnet goal, and of course, move us to the open mainnet. So that's all I have to say. And thank everyone for attending.
Yes, yes. Listen, I thank all of you, obviously, particularly both of you, because it takes some work to organize these things, but you honored it, and I'm really, really happy that you came. And from time to time, we'll be doing these things because it's all helping the Pi ecosystem, and that's the best we can do. Hashtag what I do for Pi, because we all have to do something for Pi Network, and the best I can, I use the channel and of course Twitter to do that. So let's all do our best, people. And thank you so much for attending, Lawi and Abiodun. I really appreciate the fact that you've been here. And of course, we'll talk
Thank
about a lot
you.
of things in the future. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. See you. See you. Yes, so I'm here. Don't worry, I haven't gone yet. I'm still here. I really thank them for being here, of course. But we all know that the Pi Network ecosystem has to be built and be built well. And we all have to make sure that the ecosystem is built with the knowledge that pioneers are the ones that helped it build up. Let me see the questions you've asked. I think Lau is at the background. I might speak to him later on. But those of you who are here, let's see. This person is saying, thanks, Ray, for bringing Workforce Pool to the platform. Please, can you make them to educate us on their app? They have educated us. You're late, and that's the problem. They have educated us. But don't worry, you can watch it from the beginning, and they will be able to obviously help you with it. If Lawi wants to educate us, Lawi is still here. If he wants to, I'll bring him in. Lawi, do you want to educate us?
Well, yeah. I could do a brief introduction about Workforce Pool itself.
All right, please go ahead.
Yeah, well, so Workforce Pool is the first freelance marketplace based on the world's most accessible blockchain-based ecosystem, which is Pi Network. Any pioneer can buy both goods and sell services with Pi on Workforce Pool. If you wish to visit our app, you can always hit www.workforcepool.com, and of course you have to use Pi browser in order for you to access all the functionalities of the app. That's just a
Yeah,
brief introduction about Workforce Pool.
yeah. So that's a little briefing of Workforce Pool. Obviously, there are lots that we all need to learn when it comes to Workforce Pool. But listen, I need to read a lot more about it. I definitely read a lot about it, but I don't stop reading when I want to learn about something. I just keep reading and reading and reading because it's important that we all learn things about one another. So, Lawi, really, really great that you actually came on again. Really appreciate that, and I hope that person that asked the question is satisfied. Can Pi Network really deliver globally? I believe so. I believe so. Somebody's asking that question. I believe so. What do you think, Lawi? Can it deliver
We
globally?
too, we too. We believe in the project itself as a team. That's why
Yes,
we
yes.
in it. Yeah.
I believe in it. I believe in it 100%. Somebody says, why doesn't the Pi core team want to reveal the open mainnet roadmap? Um, okay, let me just answer this quickly. If Lawi's got something to say, he'll say. Personally, they have been told now this is very reliable. I've been told that they're drawing a roadmap, which is an updated roadmap to what they gave us back in December 2021. So they are gonna give us something. I don't have any timeline on that, but I've been made to believe that they are drawing up something refreshed, and we may receive it in due course. So I would say fingers crossed, and let's be there. But we may receive something. So yeah, have you got anything to say about that?
Same case on my end, since we got some apps that have migrated to mainnet.
Mhm.
So of course they got to have something for us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely, definitely. I mean, people don't know that the utility platforms are also in anticipation of mainnet. You understand? It's not like the utility platforms are just there and just just listening to anything that the core team is saying. They are anticipating what when open mainnet could be. So I mean, I heard Abiodun speak, and he was like, he wants it to be sometime next year, and so things may happen. So yeah, some utility platforms are really expecting it to happen. So yeah, let's see. Can Pi Network deliver globally? Somebody also asked another question. Say, do you think Pi Network has the capacity to serve the entire global citizens on the network? What do you think?
I think that's why they got the Pi Hackathon thing, because we are all in it ourselves, and that's why they are calling upon us to build utilities for it. So of course they have the capacity to do that, because when they engage pioneers are not they are not restricted regionally.
Yeah,
So it's all for the global thing.
yeah. Well, yeah, it makes sense. Me personally, listen, I believe they can, but it would take time for them to be able to serve us globally smoothly. That's the thing, smoothly. Because listen, even broadcasters who are well established, they find it hard sometimes because people are watching TV, smartly, which means they're using their internet to do it. Therefore, the internet can sometimes be traffic jammed, and when that happens, it's very difficult. So, listen, they will do their best, but this is cryptocurrency, so they have to make sure it's near perfect and it's competitive out there. So I believe they will do their best to make sure that Pi Network is able to serve us globally. Do you know what I mean? Anyway, that's been great. Listen, thank you so much for coming, Lawi, and I hope to see you soon. Obviously, we'll chat behind the scenes, but I hope to see you soon. Guys, thank you so much for all
Yeah,
of you.
sure.
And Glenn, thank you for your super chat and your membership gifting. Thank you.
Rays united. Oh my God, ways made another one.